So the next device we're going to talk about, again a safety feature, and again manufactured by MSA, Mining Safety Appliance, is a methane tester type HC3. And this again will typically have been used by the fireman, who's responsible for the workers' safety in the around the coalface area and the tunnels around the intake and return. And this device is used in conjunction with a steel rod or an hollow tube, as you can see, would screw to the tip of this device. In the pit, I think they're commonly known as a methanometer. I think that's just our slang term. So the fireman would put this hollow tube on the top of this gadget and poke it up into the top of the rings and the places where we mentioned before where you'd have limited ventilation, so you're likely to get builds up of gas if there's any gas coming out of the structure. And the idea behind this, unlike the Davy lamp, this doesn't have a flame, it doesn't have a gas cap that you read off. It actually has an analog display, and this is reading the percentage CH4 in the sample, as you can see on the screen. And you'll notice here there's a red area, and that's the danger zone. When I mentioned before about the explosible percentage CH4 to air is around 9%, so you can see it starts to redline here at around 6.5 to just over 8%. So what the fireman would do with this is poke the tube up into the top of the rings, into the roof, and there's a side of the MSA, there's this little black small balloon, little plastic or rubber bulb. What that's for, if you squeeze that and then let it go, it will actually suck a sample of air down the tube and into this methanometer, this tester. And by doing so, he'd probably give it 3 or 4 samples with this little balloon here, as you can see. And what that would give us a readout on the screen of the air and gas mixture. So if it was well below, which you would hope it would be well below, the 6.5 to 9%, then you could class the gas to air mixture would not be explosive. If that needle was pointing around that red area, then the fireman would probably withdraw all men, so ask everybody to leave via the intake airway, so you're going away from where the gas is. If you can imagine the gas is in the bottom of the tunnel, you wouldn't want all the men going up the coal face and out the return, because that's where the gas and air is going. You would take them out through the intakes or move them away from the source of gas. And then you would do things to dilute the gas, like putting what they call bratish and things to force clean ventilating air into those pockets to dilute the gas. All the time he would be resampling to make sure that he's in control. So that is, that's a methanometer tester type HC3. In most cases, if you're prodding this thing into pockets in the rings where you're not getting a lot of ventilation, you're going to get some readings. But if you were to then sample the main body of air in the tunnel, you're likely to get lower readings. But the thing is, the pockets of air detectable in the low ventilated areas, they're hazardous in so much as if there was a spark through machinery or whatever that could ignite that, it would go off with a bang. So you really want to make sure the ventilation is capturing and diluting all gas that's in that working environment. Yeah. It would just be in that area. You wouldn't normally evacuate anyone in the pit. The chances are the fireman is in control. He would then ask for some of the guys, the miners, to help him get these these ventilation tubes, even sort of what they used to call Venturi ventilators. So we would force ventilate the areas where there were pockets of gas. So you'd be blowing it out, diluting it and getting it out of the mine via the return airway.